We do see a couple interesting or pivotal bans already coming through. He said it was going to be a big target in this one. V5 banned away that TF, the Azir, and the Rel to make sure that LvMao doesn't get his hands on that one. On the other side, JDG do take away Seraphine, Kaisa, and Zoe. First pick was the Udyr, responded to by Tristana and Gragas. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, Udyr makes a lot of sense here in 11.3, where we know his clear is one of the fastest in the game right now. Finishes at like 3:15 or 3:10. And on the other side, you know, Tristana's been the normal response when things like Samira have been the go-to. Tristana doesn't mind this lane matchup, so even the Xayah to keep himself safe in the early levels against the Trist trading. And building up the 2v2, that's why for V5, that ban of Rel was so important. They go a different direction though, and it seems like the Gragas will be going bot, and Kanavi going onto the Hecarim.
Yeah, not a picked once before for Kanavi here in this season, but going to be another strong pick that we've seen played throughout almost every series, at least at some point. So definitely going to have that high priority in the jungle for him. A little bit of skirmishing early as well for Kanavi, and that is going to make me influenced a little bit more by how WeiWei wants to play Udyr early on. I do like the Gnar pick up there for V5. They do get some of that stability, some of that playmaking ability in the top lane for themselves for Langx.
And it's kind of funny how we started off with a lot of teams willing to just trade off the Olaf and be like, all right, well, you know, the Udyr's going to have better dueling potential, and of course, we're just going to farm and clear as well. But we've been stuck on 11.3 for about a month. And since coming back from the break, people have really just shied away from Olaf, started moving more onto this Hecarim. The Lilia hasn't been as high priority as well, and it's just interesting to see the transition in the bubble outside of the LPL. But quickly talking about bans, because we're flying through these. All targeted towards Zoom makes sense. We still need solo laners for JDG, and we're expecting counter pick potential from this top lane, or maybe a takeaway from Langx, as there is a top laner waiting for V5 as well. Support bans from JDG, because ppgod to set up the Xayah here. The Rakan first ban I really like. To set up a strong 2v2 for JDG, just trying to build themselves out from the mid lane on. Give a counter pick to Zoom, and I think there's a great strategy to try and get him ahead in this lane.
Yeah, and they get to lock in the Viktor here. Oh, that's going to be a good one for Yagao. I can't wait. It's not necessarily something he has played before, actually. I think this is his first time he's picked it up in the season, but, you know, still a strong mainstay to a carry potential in the mid lane. This, I know it's just a hover at this point. I would love to see some of these comfort champions come out for Mole, right? And he has a huge comfort champion pool, at least. He's got the Syndra, Ryze, Zoe, even the Orianna sneaking in there, and it does look like it's going to be that one.
Yeah, just be a neutral lane. Mole's played this Orianna quite a bit as well, so we were talking about these two mid laners being the brick, being a solid factor, and it just goes back to what we mentioned, where Yagao's, you know, just going to farm safely in lane. Mole's going to do the same, and if ppgod goes to this, something we saw a lot last year, this builds up a really nice 5v5 as well. This sets up an engage in front of these neutrals, and I like V5's composition. You know, they have the ability to kind of snowball some of these lanes and, I guess, set themselves up for early objectives.
Yeah, and I do find it interesting, though, Hysterics, you know, going more so into the team fight potential for them. You're going against JDG. We said how clean some of their team fights have been, some of their decisions in those team fights. So you're really throwing down the gauntlet here. Look, but I like it.
We have to transition. I mean, Lulu last pick is just incredible.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, we have to wait and see where that goes, because if this is a top lane Lulu, something we saw a lot towards the end of last year, it has the ability to bully out the lane, and Zoom could just be going for that real supportive threat to buff up these late game carries. The Viktor, the Tristana, they build a front line here, and Hecarim adds a lot of the engage as well. So I think it is a Lulu top for Zoom. And
yeah, I think so.
Man, I'm not a real color caster. You know, I'm a bit of a phony, so this will be interesting to watch how this matchup goes in this lane.
Nah, I see that big brain over there, Hysterics. I see it. Don't worry. But yeah, I think this means there's even more onus on Kanavi to get going on this Hecarim, get involved in the lanes, get that skirmishing going early on. He's got the champion to do so. We've seen the early influence that the Hecarims can have. The only thing that worries me is if you do start hitting those hurdles, right, and you're not able to clear them, where in the early game, if you do get set behind, Hecarim does suffer pretty heavily. Yeah,
he does. You know, you want to see snowball, you want to see the snowball potential, but I think also you just want to see him get those clears down and maybe trying to influence one of these lanes. I'd expect that up in the top lane, there is a lot of CC chain. There is a lot of tools that you can use for Langx, but I'm just excited to see Zoom try and take a matchup that we haven't seen before in the LPL, or at least not until last year where we saw Lulu surprise us in the top lane.
Yeah, some surprises indeed. Maybe we'll get some more as the night continues. But first, we hit the rip for the first game here between V5 and JDG. Let's see him do battle.
Waiting for the Xayahs. We are in V5's home arena. JDG have gone to Shenzhen, so not sure if there's a crowd there. I know there's one in Hongqiao. Ladies and gentlemen, just to remind you, I cannot hear the audience cheering. I can hear it. All right, I just turned the stream on, and yeah, we've got a crowd. We've got a crowd over in Shenzhen, so good to see it. Teams going back to their home arena. Of course, JDG does have their home arena in Beijing. Just wondering how long it'll be until they get there. So coming into this game, I mean, a bit of a surprise from JDG. The last pick, Lulu, going up into the Gnar top, and I know that you do have range. Of course, Gnar does as well. So I'm not 100% on the matchup. Again, play-by-play-cast, they're filling in here for today. So we'll watch and see how JDG can set themselves up, because Kanavi will be pathing topside after doing a clear to start at the bottom on the blue buff here. Look at the response on the other side. WeiWei going to be going from top to bottom for V5.
Yeah, a little bit of difference in jungle pathing, and we already see a potential for Kanavi to go towards that top side. And we have, at least I know that Lulu can be domineering in the top lane occasionally, especially in certain matchups. I really want to see kind of that set forward by Zoom, because we know him to be such a great mechanical player. But the Lulu, so they're a little bit different. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that one, see what happens in the top lane, see what kind of influences we get there, Hysterics.
Yeah, really nice trading here, at least in the early portion. You can see Zoom already a bit of an E starters actually engage in the bottom lane.
A little level 1 trades, but that satchel charge is going to hurt pretty bad for ppgod, as getting just a little bit of aggression early is going to be nice, trying to get that priority in the lane.
Not sure if they were hoping to hit 2 off the wave while he was using the Zenith Blade in, but of course Trigger and ppgod didn't have to leash for their jungler, while Loken and LvMao helped out for Kanavi, so it makes sense that Trigger and ppgod hit 2 first. Loken and LvMao are going to get pushed up against the turret with the level advantage as well, and some good early trading. And we're just back to the top lane watching Zoom versus Langx, because, you know, as I kind of thought, the Lulu feeling pretty nice in the matchup for now, just abusing Glitter Lance. And I also like in the backline minions, you can kind of attach picks and poke from afar as well, and utilize a bigger range, as every time Langx walks up, that's going to happen. So Zoom with great wave management, building it up, knowing Kanavi's here to shadow him as well in case anything goes wrong.
And what I find interesting right now, Hysterics, is we do see the opposite side of the map for each jungler, but you know the priority is not in their favor necessarily for that side of the map. You are going to get the trade of scuttles for sure, but I'm wondering if we get that reconnection back in the mid lane here in just a little bit, even though you've gotten a lot of priority from Yagao, because this top lane, even though it's looking a little worse for wear for Langx, WeiWei does have a chance to come up here and try to influence it in some way.
I mean, it depends, right? Because you're already seeing the scuttle being taken. I think this is deep vision being placed by Kanavi, or the potential dive. Because Langx getting low, continuously bullied out by Zoom, they could make something happen here if Kanavi wants to pop the ghost and go all in.
Oh, man. He's waiting so nicely around the side. Yeah, stops the back. Just going to show himself in just a moment. Here it goes. All right, but you do have WeiWei up here. See if you can make it here in time. This is what I was talking about. The first blood's going to go over. It's Zoom that gets it. Now you get the TPs coming in. Kanavi's getting very, very low here. He looks like he is going to go down. The support there from Mole, and the flash immediately from Zoom gets him out of dodge.
You're right. Good response from WeiWei. Path straight to the top lane, and even though it's first blood going over to Zoom, the response kill hits WeiWei, and Langx's able to come back into the wave safely. So it was set up by a really nice dive, but WeiWei had the countermeasure, and even Mole teleporting up just in case. And both mid laners will go back to mid, not really losing anything from it as well. So an even trade across the board, if not slightly ahead for Zoom, thanks to first blood gold.
Yeah, exactly that. But, you know, the Lulu with a little gold, we'll see what we can do with that. But I'm sure we'll get a heavy focus by Kanavi down towards the spot side now. Dragon is spawning here in about 10 seconds. It's going to be a Cloud Dragon, a little bit of ultimate cooldown reduction, but nothing too crazy there. So I don't know how that priority will exactly land out, but as you see, you know, WeiWei making his way down that way.
Yeah, I feel like WeiWei is just going to either start this up silently or try and utilize the early bot pressure that was given. Of course, Loken and LvMao being the Tristana Gragas, have shove out once again. They have the aggression. I like this from LvMao, putting deep vision to try and track WeiWei for the bottom side of his clear. And something with JDG we've seen a lot last year is maybe you have to pause on that because, again, Kanavi hovering up in the Lulu lane and Langx about to go mega, so he pays respect.
Yeah. Luckily enough, he's not going to pull the trigger on that one because that might have been a bit of a scary engage there. But you can see the ideas coming through from JDG. They're definitely putting a heavy focus towards top.
Which makes sense, right? When you have something in this lane that, first couple of items I'm assuming going to be a great spike here. I do feel like Kanavi's, playing the side of the map that JDG really want for the draft. We talked about what this team wants to do, and when you have Viktor, Tristana, you have a lot of decent scaling. You're going to have a supportive Lulu top as well. I do feel like JDG are going to be a lot more favorable going into this game. I'm trying to think about scaling here, and I'm trying to think about how these comps interact. Maybe, again, I don't have time as WeiWei. Can't steal it.
Oh, goodness. Good. It is going to be taken by Kanavi, though. So, unfortunately, WeiWei was not able to get it. The smite steal, or the smite advantage, at least comes out for Kanavi.
I'm still thinking, I feel like it's going to be quite important to talk about Langx going into this game and how V5 get their setup, because they have a lot of great engage tools as well. Mega Gnar, we have Zenith Blade, followed up by Solar Flare, of course. WeiWei on the Udyr being a bit of a disruptor. And Mole and Trigger just going to be kind of the damage sources, and you're going to expect a big shockwave, but hey, 2v2 time.
The bait, WeiWei flashes for it, gets a ton of damage onto Zoom. He does pop the ulti, but it doesn't matter because the Mega Gnar is there, and Langx takes a kill.
And WeiWei's just trifling, while meanwhile in the bottom lane.
See what ppgod can do. He does flash out, so he's going to be able to get away, but it was a bit of a scary situation down there as JDG are starting to take a lot of control around the map.
Well, I mean, actually quite the opposite, right? I mean, WeiWei's responding to top really nicely, and he's putting emphasis on this lane. He's getting Langx into a better position. CS is now suddenly even, and the kill going up for Langx means that for JDG, even though this Lulu's not going to require as much gold as just typical top laner, it was a lane that was starting to bully out and starting to gain a real big advantage. So I like that WeiWei is responding and helping Langx out through this early game.
And no early advantages to speak of just yet for Kanavi, something that we said and set up for in the draft, saying he does need to get that involvement early on. But, still no focus around the dragon. We do have Rift Guard coming down. We do have a 2v2 a bot lane, though. That satchel charge is going to do a ton of damage. The Feather Recall is going to get the kill. Trigger does get one, but Loken gets a trade back. Now we got a support versus ADC here, and LvMao's looking to take his own kill here. I don't know, though. Flashes away for the Feather Recall, so he will survive, but now Kanavi wants to make his face known, and he does get the charge and finally gets the kill there onto Trigger. They want to follow it up onto WeiWei, but he's a bit of a tankier target there, and a lot of chaos down towards this bot lane about 8.5 minutes in.
Yeah, we're scrapping in this bottom lane. I mean, we're scrapping across the map. Both junglers are talked about coming into this one. It feels like both junglers are going to be pivotal while we headed up the mid-to-mid matchup. WeiWei versus Kanavi is delivering, and it's who can be there first, who can bring their tempo in. And Kanavi coming in to clean up the kill in the end makes it quite an even trade. 3-3, gold still even at 8 minutes in the game, and both these junglers are just trying to hit the side lanes as hard as they can.
Getting a lot of farming under their belts for sure, as we're going to get a little replay of that 2v2 tussle that turned into a lot more.
Yeah, and like this is the damage you expect out of Tristana. He's still in the early game, but I like that Trigger has the confidence to flash forward there, send the feathers out with the Feather Storm and Blade Caller in. But it's WeiWei coming in to save the day, and LvMao immediately pays respect with the flash. So I think that flash was pivotal. WeiWei stays in the lane. Trigger sticks up as well. And Kanavi, there's no warding in the river from V5. So he's able to just ride in there, get the trade kill, and put things back to a pretty even state.
Indeed, it is even Stevens, as you would call it. But still no big objective focus. None of these major objectives being the highlight for either of these squads in this first game, at least.
Yeah, at the very least, I'd expect that Herald will probably be thought about a lot harder before we get towards the Dragon. You notice that bot laners are still there, supports are still there, but WeiWei being the Udyr, definitely going to hit this a lot faster. Langx, of course, has priority up in the top lane now that he has Merc Treads and the pickaxe, so he's definitely out-damaging. He's definitely bullying Zoom a little bit harder in this matchup now. So V5 will start off with the Herald and, Kanavi, a little bit late to the punch. This will be secured. which means there's no trade-off really here for JDG.
There is not, and now you get to have the advantage of deciding where you want to get some gold with that Rift Herald. But as you see, we're going to get more focus down towards this bot side. I love this setup by LvMao. Just in case they overextend just a little bit, they could go for the damage. They do engage there. Rocket Jump immediately has to come out from Loken.
I think LvMao was just hovering just in case. But, you know, WeiWei also in the river. This is another important point. Junglers, again, trying to change the pace of the game as Kanavi.
Gets the flash out at least, so maybe a regank in the near future, but Mole able to sniff that one out.
Yeah, needed to flash, otherwise he would have been dead. Has teleport as well, but Yagao's going to stop this as he walks up. I'd take a turret shot as well. But Mole stuck in lane. Even though he has teleport, doesn't want to back now, and thinks he'll be okay with the pots used. Verdant barrier there as well. And just kind of trading across the map as Langx does the same with his ultimate. And I think at this point in the game, you know, we should start looking towards that first dragon because it is a super late dragon to be picked up. When you have an Udyr, when you have a Hecarim, when bot's been tussling back and forth. And I actually think for V5, they'd feel pretty confident considering that trigger now has the essence, and Loken and LvMao spotted moving out of lane. Actually going to be backing here as well, so would be a pretty good opportunity if WeiWei could also utilize the Herald and add some pressure to set V5 up for the early dragon.
And talk about the early dragons, but it being so late in the game here, we do see the Rift Herald actually going to be used in mid lane, but it just highlights to me that we could be potentially looking at a long game here. I'm looking at these scaling factors as you were kind of trying to earlier, and it gets really interesting once we get to like 25, 30 minutes. So with how late these dragons are coming, with how late the pressure is coming, I wonder if we do get to that point.
Because the thing is here, I'm looking at a lot of bursts from JDG, right? But there's still scaling elements, as we talked about Tristana, Viktor.
Yeah.
V5 the same, but hold on.
WeiWei has found a 2v1, still taking it nicely though. Let's have some reinforcements coming here. ppgod and Langx, yeah, they have arrived first. There's the Zenith Blade and the Solar Flare going out on top. Langx getting very low, but it's going to be LvMao dies first. Will get Langx in the end of it. Shockwave comes out to bring Zoom back into the party. Kanavi is trying to light the disco balls right now. Isn't going to be enough. He does get the kill. Yagao is the one that's cleaning house right now, and that is going to be huge for JDG.
When Hecarim has everyone around him, he likes to spin to win, and that was literally Kanavi just showing up, going in for the engage into the pit. Immediately gets the 3-man fear, and for JDG coming out ahead after what was such a scrappy fight, which have all been scrappy fights so far, but this time more members showed up to the party, and Kanavi now with a massive lead here with 3 kills.
Now we're going to take a look back into that fight. It was a bit scrappy, and it was V5 who took priority in this one. They wanted that engagement.
WeiWei flashing in on the Solar Flare sets up for Kanavi to get a 3-man onslaught of shadows. ppgod and WeiWei get down to low, and sure, they get the picks off, but Kanavi's still so healthy. He has pretty much a half-full mana bar, which means he can do whatever he wants in these fights. And Hecarim's base damage still very, very good at this point in the game, even when you're building tanks. So a great start for JDG, a great re-engage to punish everyone in the pit at once.
And there was a response there. If you saw in the lower third there, V5 were able to get the first dragon a little bit late. Now Mole is feeling the pressure again. The devastating charge is going to bring him right back. He knows that he's dead, and he will just go down to Yagao. Now, some crucial members for JDG having a good influx of gold.
But this is what we expect of LvMao when he's in his prime. He's one of the best roaming supports. Finding the angle like that when bottom lane, I believe, was resetting after the fight and just coming back into wave. Didn't get to see that one. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. But LvMao making use of that limbo, that window, if I can speak English. And
I like it, but no, hey, we'll just combine it.
Do it again.
Fine.
I mean, there's a teleport
there's
burn.
The Featherstorm. That's going to be a lot of commitment here. They go down on the ppgod. WeiWei is right there, though. That does mean that it's a 3v4, so they will not follow it up. Turns into a 3v5 potentially. Oh, no.
I mean,
Trigger's going to be completely caught. He's like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Oh, but they do have the follow-up on the backside. Doesn't matter. Loken's going to get the kill under tower. Nobody else from V5 is really able to do anything.
And with the Moonstone Renewer, you know, Lulu comes down. No one's really in threat of dying for the dive unless they stay too long. Almost taking away the red buff from LvMao and JDG. There's one thing I don't really talk about with their comp. They're fantastic at diving. They have a lot of sustain coming into this composition, and they have a lot of great frontline members that can distract, that can annoy. So meanwhile, while JDG make the dive work, Loken's going to be doing some work on this turret. He will get first turret blood as well, all to himself, while Langx now looking like a big carry threat needed for V5 past this early game.
The power of Tristana, my friend. You know, it was not close. I gotta say, Langx was definitely ahead of that race, but that one satchel charge will do it. And luckily, Loken is able to pick up an even more gold in that solo lane there, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, Loken to the point where he now has a Kraken Slayer. Zeal's just picked up as well.
Yeah.
About the same item point, but I would say that because we see Berserker Greaves versus the baggy shoes, that there is a bit of a difference between AD carries. Level difference there as well. So we're getting to a point in the game where for JDG, they're pretty comfortable sitting in these waves and just absorbing the farm. I mean, waiting for that first item coming out from Yagao. Kanavi with his second, and JDG, their hit squad's back.
They knew exactly where to look. It will not end up in a kill.
Oh, look at
Luckily,
Langx.
WeiWei is still pretty strong. Kanavi just goes straight on. Yeah, Langx is coming for the gank onto LvMao, who gets completely caught there. Kanavi wanted to go there for Mole, does separate from his support, and they do give a kill over.
Yeah, gank squad turned into goon squad very quickly there. So JDG getting punished from overextending, from using the explosive cast to look for an Udyr. I mean, when you chase the bear, you know, it doesn't always work out, not unless you have the members to do the burst damage, and unfortunately JDG didn't. So, you know, with that quick pick, there's nothing up in terms of objective as, actually the herald's up. So V5 will have priority on that, and after they clear mid, this should be the second herald of the game, going to V5 as well.
I wonder if we just see JDG try to engage here, because they don't want to necessarily give over another objective like this. He's just going to go in. I didn't see who actually got it right there, but it looks like, yeah, it was WeiWei. So big solar flare. The rocket jump's going to buffer it, but Kanavi's already down. V5 are looking for this fight, but the damage there from Yagao. Oh my God. You just cannot continue to fight that fight. They do get the objective, but they have to turn tails.
And look, it might be okay, because for JDG, they should be able to push the mid lane turret. A bit of wave clear there, so never mind. V5, you know, benefits of that trade. They steal away the herald that was started by them as Kanavi came in with a bit of an early smite, hitting the eye as well. And V5 walk away with a kill on top too. So it might be good damage from Yagao, but that's a great trade from V5. Teleport even to stop this mid lane push, and you have wave clear with Orianna. So with WeiWei here, JG trying to respond.
Yeah, you have to do something. Tristana will just burn down your towers over and over again. So I like the response. I like the wave clear, especially for Mole. We've seen a time already. It's 17:45 into the game that he's just been able to counter that Loken push there on the Tristana.
Yeah, he has been as... Well, we might be gearing up again. Mole?
Mole, don't do it! He flashes over the wall. The cast could buy some time. LvMao gets ulted there. Shockwave's going to land on two members. Mole's still looking for it as well. Langx goes in, uses the ulti. It was a little bit sporadic there in this fight, and we'll see what they want to fully engage on. JDG looking to barrel down this mid lane.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened. Mole getting caught out, and then, you know, Langx's like, boys, I have the ulti. Kind of just jumped forward.
Yeah, I just got to use it.
But maybe the other way would have been better in the end of the day. But still, I mean, that's them the cards. Mole gets caught out, burns his summoner after teleporting to mid lane to save it. And JDG will pick up their first dragon of the game. 18 minutes in, and we only have 2 dragons taken. Nuts. So we're going to have a very late soul. And with the Mountain Soul, you know, both these teams with the scaling they have, I think are going to enjoy that one.
Yeah, definitely going to be putting a little bit more priority on that as we go further in. And, you know, it just gets me all giddy and excited because I'm hoping we get to, to the Dragon Soul point at some point in the far, far future. But we do get to dive in a little bit more on this Rift Herald fight and see what went wrong.
So I thought this was pretty guaranteed for V5, but yeah, eyes hit, and I think it was just WeiWei who smited down. And Shockwave, you're right, eludes JDG, puts them into a closer range, and a V5 do kill Kanavi at the end of the day, who went deep to try and steal that one away. So just a good response from V5. Luck of the draw is Solar Flare.
I love the commitment, man. I love the commitment. They are ready to throw their guns out. We do have the Rift Herald being spawned in mid lane. We'll go ahead and get that charge down. We'll go ahead and take this tower down, try to get a little bit more gold and even up the tower score.
And as we come to 15 minutes, I didn't actually keep track, but I believe V5 were ahead, if only by 100 gold. Just remember, in the LPL, V5 have a 92% win rate when ahead at 15 minutes in the game. And even though this is JDG, that's still a stat that has remained true for most of V5's victories. So we'll see. They're pushing ahead. They get the mid lane turret thanks to the Herald. JDG will trade it off. But meanwhile, Langx in the solo lane, absorbing more gold, adding this wave to the mix, while Yagao's trying to get top lane turret for himself. So it will actually be a better trade for JDG, considering that Yagao will also get solo turret gold. And JDG are waiting for someone to come in and try and defend the next wave, but I don't think anyone in V5 is silly enough to walk in.
Yeah, it does not look like that will be the case. I just want to say that I love the movements from JDG, right? They've been playing as a team throughout the enemy jungle this whole time. They're just looking for those picks. LvMao and Kanavi have been this duo, even though it hasn't worked out necessarily all the time for them. They've been so strong in finding out where WeiWei is and trying to put a wrench into the works.
It's interesting because LvMao and Kanavi, at least in 2020, I remember LvMao, one of the best roaming supports, and on the other side, ppgod linked up with WeiWei and I guess Mole in 2020, and like that's what made him such a great support as well. So we have some of the best roaming supports in the league in this game, in this series, and that's why another part is going to be about how they link up with their junglers and start bringing attention to this early game, as we already saw from people like LvMao. I mean, LvMao was the best playmaking support by far. And it's put JDG into a position where they're quite even as WeiWei. They're actually on the wrong side of the rift.
They are. That's going to be Zoom going over the wall. He's just getting everything used on him. The shockwave comes in. Langx is the one that gets the kill. The Onslaught of Shadows is used to run away, and JDG are on the back foot now.
Now, Zoom's not alive. V5 could threaten the Baron, but at this point, I'm not sure if that's the play. Kanavi up here spotted without ult, remember, at the disengage, and V5, they're actually going to go mid again.
They're just hunting for blood at this point. WeiWei is looking to run at people. Run stump, job done, right? As he's just been looking for it.
Yeah. Well, he's come around the other side, and JDG have walked into the trap.
Oh, no, LvMao. The chain CC is just too clean. Feels bad for the Gragas.
And they made the same play 3 times. I mean, LvMao keeps thinking, I can go out and put wards now. They're not going to do it a 3rd time. And even sitting on a ward, good denial from Yagao. But yeah, JDG just kind of walked with loving arms into the thinking that wouldn't happen again.
That's what's the definition of insanity? Maybe need a reminder on that one. We'll see what happens. Maybe he'll get things under wrap.
Well, we're at a weird point in the game, right? You know, after that pick off, V5 do have a gold lead. We're getting to second items on the board here, and still, I'm pinning it towards Langx for these engages. You know, Mole, Langx as well, Shockwave, Gnar ulti. I feel pretty pivotal. I think as the longer these fights go out, I will say that it does feel JDG favored. That's the one thing. These elongated fights, when you have Ardent Sensor, when you have especially Moonstone Renewer on the Lulu, you have a lot of buffing from the Wild Growth plus the Pick Shield, and you have a Viktor, a Tristana, people who can just kind of walk back, put down Gravity Field, use the Buster Shot to create space. And I think here for JDG, there are a lot more tools. However, I think for V5, if you get the Shockwave, you get the Gnar ulti, it is going to be a lot easier just to win the fight out bare front.
Yeah, and something that I've really liked in the style of V5 in this game in particular is the fact that, yes, they have all these engages, but they've been really good at the picks. Although LvMao goes in with the casket. Now we're getting the team fight that we wanted. There's the Feather Recall, the Feather Storm coming through. Gets the root down. Kanavi's just gone. As Buster Shot goes onto Langx, he gets pushed away. Shockwave is going to be in the middle of the fight, but JDG are looking like they're coming out on top here. The rocket jump forward from Loken is going to signify that confidence being rebuilt by JDG.
And that was a spicy one, man. For LvMao just to feel that said confidence you mentioned. Setting it up. JDG now moving towards the Mountain Dragon. Remember, it's a very late soul coming into this game, but a net win for JDG at the end of the day after Kanavi goes deep again. But it works out considering that Loken got the resets, Loken got the resources alongside Yagao in that last play. We'll have another look again because you watch, LvMao's like, all right, I'm waiting. Immediately, flash body slam in, explosive cask. And, you know, that's real nice considering they're into a bit of a choke. The Chaos Storm as well. I think a little bit late from Yagao, otherwise it would have had more impact.
Just a little bit.
Kanavi separated from the team. A funny interaction with Buster Shot onto Langx as he's ulting, but this again is what I was talking about, right? The longer these fights go on, the more tools JDG have. The consistent shielding coming out of Zoom. It's so hard to rip through when you lose, you know, your damage source as well. When you also lose the biggest engage, which is ppgod. And so for V5, the fight couldn't go on. Flash is burnt after the fact, and now on the summoner chain, it's only ppgod and Langx who have those summoners available. Well, for JDG, actually, we're starting again.
Kanavi getting caught out again, uses the Onslaught of Shadows to get away. Been a bit of a defensive ulti this time around, but the thing for me has been JDG's damage potential. Their turnaround potential has been so strong. The consistent damage coming out from Yagao, the absolute burst potential coming from Loken. These are the pieces you have to be careful for, and these are the pieces that we've seen them going for, but they just can't pull it off all the way.
Yeah, struggling a little bit now. Just we're reverse A-ramming towards the river. Kanavi's farming up.
Side to side. It's the A-ram in the river. It's no big deal.
But we just saw two pretty big ults come out. Explosive Cask and mainly the Featherstorm. Featherstorm for Trigger is his last defense because he has no summoners available. There is no QSS there as well. If he gets trapped in the Chaos Storm, rather, the Gravity Field. And now for Trigger, this next fight could be so dangerous.
The only saving grace is that Gale Force, and it's not much of a saving grace if I have to say so myself as an ADC player, so we'll see what happens, but it does seem like JDG are going to take priority in the mid lane and force V5 to find a way to reposition to defend their tower, because
V5
you gotta remember, it's a Tristana. They can't do anything about it. The tower's gone.
That's right, and they're going to threaten inhibitor turret as well, because for V5, they're slow to the punch, slow to moving to the wave. They've lost priority, as you mentioned. They won't get it, but Langx coming in red hot.
Oh, he can't get it. He does get the double, and that is immediately all the damage onto Loken. They do get 2 members down on JDG's side. A third will do it. Oh my goodness. V5, a little bit of an overextension by JDG, but they capitalize on it so beautifully.
They do. They walk against the wall, and the disengage wasn't used in time. And Langx, this is what I was talking about, man. This Gnar is crucial to this composition. Gnar, Orianna, how they work, and V5, those are really big picks. Dragon, or rather Baron, has to be stolen, but Kanavi not going to go for it. And immediately V5 in a great position for game 1. As I'm not sure if we lost Lennon there. I'm not sure. Oh my god. That's okay. Hey, you know, you didn't miss too much, right? What we saw was V5 capitalizing, as we talked about. It was the buster shot again onto Langx, but just like last time, he got the ulti off. And for V5's top laner, he sets up the play. V5 capitalize on what you actually mentioned was staying too long, and JDG get punished hard. Now we have V5 with a 4,000 gold lead, and at 27 minutes of the game, Baron available. And I don't think you're going to get as much as this Baron out of a team that maybe like someone like JDG would with Tristana, with Viktor as well. But it's still a really big play to be made, and it's going to give him a lot of priority in these side lanes. You see Mazel, Langx already splitting up.
And for me right there, it's like the priority of the buster shot or the rocket jump over the wall. And it's so hard to judge in those situations. I think the rocket jump, or at least the buster shot, was a really good call, but it just didn't come out right in time. And it's those little micro moments that mean so much. Now we see some of that siege coming down, Hysterics.
You know, also just quickly on it, I mean, Zoom wasn't nearby too, right? When the Lulu was separated from the rest of the team for JDG, you know, that's their primary tool to keep these fights going. And I think for JDG, you know, a bit of mishaps, right? And yeah, this minion doing what it should, in a turret to go down. And for V5, using this push really nicely, as Mazel has now grouped up, they've left Langx in the top lane with a pushing bottom lane for V5.
And JDG just kind of trying to make the decision that will work out best in their favor here, kind of leaving Langx up there in the top lane to his own devices and potentially looking to make a move here on this mid lane trio. But they don't have that in. They don't feel like they have that confidence after being put on the back foot.
And in inhibitor turret, I'd say that for JDG, they probably just want to make an engage, find that all in, and get V5, I guess, away. Because I'm trying to think about it more and more. And once these inhibitors are broken, it does feel like this game becomes so much harder for JDG. You know, just getting pressure down in some of these side lanes as well. Maybe I'm talking out of my butt. Who knows? But for V5, you know, this is what I talked about. What I was right on is that Mazel set up the bottom wave, so I like the timing here from V5. You look at the top wave, you look at how mid set up now from Langx. This has been really tempered play and something we haven't talked about with V5 for a while, because they have been this team that have been a bit discoordinated.
And just the complete opposite here with V5 putting on the pressure. V5 not getting responded to while they're just barreling down those towers, and now they get their second dragon of the game, going to tie us up.
Yeah, we're going to a very late game if we get towards the Soul, considering that we have 2 dragons apiece. I don't think it's going to be something we talk about running forward, but I do feel like, you know, going into this game, if V5 find another engage like that, if they find another win, then base broken, potentially even games. So For JDG, probably want to just temper this one out, get more items onto Loken. I'd also say that now we have the Moon Staff, we get the movement speed, we get the higher AP threat from Yagao. So, yeah, I'm curious for this next fight. I definitely don't think JDG are out, as, again, longer fights just feels like it's going to be their motto.
And honestly, these fights are on such a knife's edge, right? We're at 30 minutes in. The death timers are going to be pretty heavy. And so if you do lose one of these integral fights, we've seen teams just immediately go for the throat. And with how the bases are looking right now, it's looking very viable to do that.
Yeah, it definitely is. V5 already setting up Baron Vision, though, a little bit early, or rather looking for the pick onto JDG. And we're probably going to be pretty stable for the next couple of minutes until that Baron spawns, until even the Mountain comes up as well. So you probably just see farming, bit of a squad here from JDG to see if they can get a pick. They also have a lot of mobility, a lot of engage we talked about. So catching one person out like Trigger or Mole and forcing one of those summoners could be a window in for this team.
It could be one of those windows, but we'll see how these next couple minutes, because I would like to see some of that temperness that we were kind of highlighting to make sure they get to those objectives, but it does look like JDG don't want to deal with that. They just want to get this prio in mid lane.
It's like the threatening here from Kanavi. Remember, mobility definitely in their favor. They had the inner track into mid again. This is where they made their mistake. The problem is, right, Langx is a level 17 Gnar in a side lane, and now we're pulling the brakes. Teleport going to be used.
Yeah, they do get the TP, and that damage onto the tower was heavy, though. That satchel charge doing work for Loken. Not able to pull off a counter engagement where V5 and JDG get out with just a little bit of damage. They don't come away with anything necessarily, just a little bit of pressure.
I'd say pulling the TP is actually quite nice here, considering that Langx is going to be in that side lane, and now he has to stay grouped with the rest of the team. It's going to be a lot more telegraphed and harder to find a flank here for the top laners. So you pull out the TP, you do the damage on the inner turret, and inhib turret, excuse me. And now we're at 45 seconds, so JDG can just reset and look for these item components that build towards a stronger fight. So I think that's a bit of a win for JDG, considering that they could have very well lost their inhib turret. They could have lost the inhibitor to Langx, and the trade for V5 would have been worth it. Okay, I see a circle on Mazel's call. He's lagging again. I don't know what's happening to you guys in America, but you're not getting great internet. Kind of like us in Australia. That's why we're brethren. Yeah, I'll say, though, internet in Asia is a giga OP at the moment. I have 300 megabits down, 300 megabits up, so I don't know. I'm sorry, I got to brag about that. I've lived in Australia where when 1 megabyte up and down was the norm up until 2019, until we got the MBN, so we'll work on getting Mazel back. But ladies and gentlemen, I happen to be a play-by-play and a color caster this time around, so we're going to work out on getting him back. He's still doing the swirl, and well, flash in from V5. Here we go. Shockwave used, but it doesn't really hit. Zoom port back, though. He used the wild growth onto himself. WeiWei comes on in. Kanavi actually hit the backline, though. Kanavi's done a great job, and this is scattered from V5. Zoom forced the flash out of ppgod as rocket jump from Loken yet again. Trigger caught out too. He used the feather storm. No heal or flash, and V5 have just thrown it in the bin thanks to a great split from JDG. Still running after the Mole. I don't think Kanavi cares if he dies. Runs in, actually suicides the horse, and now Mole's left by himself. Flashes away. But JDG with 3 members, I think they can end this one. The biggest thing is, Mole needs to wave clear. Look at the 4 minions on the backside as they come in. It's LvMao tanking up the first shot as Loken is going to clear incredibly quickly onto the Nexus turrets. Mole runs on in. Shockwave kills the AD carry, but is it enough as Yagao is taking turret shots? He's taken one too many. He'll go down, and Mole has saved the day. It's a double kill as V5 hold on to this one somehow, some way. My God, after they just threw everything into the water, V5 are going to keep on going, and it was the shockwave burn, it was the burst onto Loken that keeps V5 alive. They've got one Nexus turret, so they don't have to worry about the back door. And we continue on. A bit of shenanigans in a 30-kill, 34-minute game. Oh, wow, here we go. It's only game 1 as well, and we're actually coming back to the point of V5 hitting up the Baron. And look at where Kanavi is at the moment. You know, no Ghost available. It's not a flash Hecarim, so he can't get over the wall unless he uses Onslaught of Shadows, but he's not nearby. They're pinging the Dragon instead. Baron given over a second time for V5. And from the brink of throwing it all away to this, V5 will actually have the pressure, and I want to go back and have a quick look at what actually happened, because it was WeiWei forcing the play. Shockwave brings in Zoom, but look how hard they commit Langx into the back line, but Kanavi's dealing with 4. Trigger and ppgod are actually not in this play where the Xayah would thrive. Everyone lined up like that with the Leona in front of her, and Kanavi's just doing so much dirty work in the background. Flash and heal, still up and available for Trigger 2, mind you. Don't look at the bottom of your screen. It was available when we saw the play, and kind of a bit of a mistake in V5's positioning in the team fight, it feels like. So, a bit unfortunate, but at the end of the day, we're going to watch how Mazel saved this game, right? Like, 3 pushing in. The wave is minimal, so Mazel already has the wave clear. Going back, healing up, and he has Shockwave again. Pulls in the minions, and Loken steps too close to the wave, because if Loken doesn't step too close to the wave there, I think the game ends. I think both Nexus turrets go on down, and they can probably kill Mazel, get the Nexus, and pretty much end it there. So, feels pretty bad here, Mazel, as I believe you're on call with us once again, sir.
I am indeed. Apologize for the technical difficulties. Gotta love LA internet. But right back into this game, Hysterics.
You missed.
V5 are looking really good. They're getting some siege
on. No, don't say that. You missed everything.
No? Okay.
You missed V5 throwing a fight. They didn't know how to position in a team fight. You also missed the game was about to end, but Mazel shockwaved Loken and saved it for V5. But you're right. Now it looks good for V5 again.
It's right when I come back. It sounds perfect. As they do get that inhib tower. Not necessarily going to get the inhib, but again, this story here. Langx on the side lanes has been so good at applying this pressure. They're going to get another inhib tower.
Yeah, they are. The base is broken up, but for JDG...
Oh, no.
Oh my god, I can't believe this game is back to V5's favor after they just found the one perfect team fight, the sustained engage, but they're going again, Mazel.
They do get the engagement there. WeiWei doesn't fall. Kanavi's engage wasn't enough to pull it off, and V5 make the correct call. Get out of dodge. Get away from JDG. We're really trying to capitalize on it.
But the base broken. Double inhibitor goes down, and V5 once again with a massive gold lead in the tune of about 8,000. 37 minutes into this game, we're going late. You know, you and I talked about it starting on. It does feel like this game is geared up to go late, and you know, I was talking to Lyric a little bit here, and he was telling me a little bit more about the compositions. One of our resident color casters, of course, talking about how JDG want to be on an objective first, right, and kite back style of composition. So big thank you to Lyric for helping me with that one. Talking about how Kanavi can punish V5 if they misstep, and I really like that because we saw that in the last fight. V5 had one hell of a misstep, and Kanavi was there to punish while the rest of his team was just laying into the member that approached them. So it feels like here for JDG still have a massive chance, but the Baron used great, the base broken. Bottom wave now the priority for V5, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and I like that Langx, who's so strong in this game, is managing the mid wave, while V5's wave management towards topside yet again is slowly pushing in thanks to supers.
And a little zoom in on that Mole versus Yagao matchup as well. You've seen the fluctuations in this, but I want to pick some of your words there because you stole right out of my mouth, Hysterics. The crossing the T's, dotting the I's, but for me on the side of JDG, this is not that. This is not shoring up those weaknesses. This is not showing us those strengths. It's a little bit of faltering in the late game.
And again, it's JDG going up against a team that's middling, right? Like we talked about, JDG with teams below them have been more successful, have been a little bit cleaner than what we've seen against the likes of FPX and some of these other top teams. Against V5, they've been tested here in this game one, and you know, the defense needs to come through. They do have wave clear, which is great. I think the biggest part about this composition for JDG is their late game wave clear is very insane. And even with the Baron buff, you know, a Tristana, a Viktor, they only have to send one to manage a wave. But coming through here, V5 are just pushing up without a wave at all, trying to utilize their front line.
And this is what is so just interesting to me. We see the scaling. We saw the potential team fights. We talked about JDG's strength in the team fights and being able to play off of Yagao, being able to play off of Loken. It just hasn't looked like that just yet. And it's been V5 capitalizing on some of those overextensions, on capitalizing on the side lane pressure for Langx, and just the wave management that we've seen so far has been so impressive.
And I think also we've been seeing that, you know, it hasn't been like JDG's setup of a fight, right? Like they've never gotten on these objectives first, further to what Lyric was saying. You know, V5 have always been there, and the fact is JDG are on sole point and they will not have set up yet again. So we could be going to that ultra late game if teams are going to fight over the Mountain Soul point. Because JDG, thanks to supers, thanks to the timing here from V5, it will be a dragon given over, as Kanavi has already resorted to clearing his camps instead.
Will just be a quick dragon taken down by V5. I'm sure the next big focus will be that Baron coming up in about 35 seconds.
Baron
the thing right
3.
now is, though, for JDG, have super minions coming in their top and mid. They've got to keep an eye on that. They've got to make sure that Langx just can't get that extra pressure in the side lanes here. And that's where you're seeing a lot of the focus, and that means that V5 have more to play with.
But while it sets up for things like the objectives, I mean, supers aren't going to be that big of a deal for JDG. You can see clearing out. Loken is on 6 items, and he insta-clears those waves. Like, this is late-game Tristana in the flesh who is going to be doing so much work in these fights, and that's what we want to see as well. While I talked about these elongated fights, well, you know, I mentioned that Kanavi can harass and kind of be abusive to the backline. For Loken and Yagao, if they get the space they need, if those ultimates don't land from Mo or Langx, and they kind of force out Trigger's ulti, JG going to have an advantage with these hyper carries and the Lulu setup now with the Chemtech Putrefier that can support Loken and keep him fed up.
Hopefully we'll see JDG set up for success in some of these fights, not playing off the back foot, not playing off some of these catch-outs that V5 have been able to find. And we were talking about some of that team fight potential, some of that scaling potential for JDG, but we have to look on the other side. Things are starting to look really good. I mean, this Orianna from Mole is devastating. And yeah, Baron's immediately started up by JDG. V5 do not want that to happen. It's already taken, though. Kanavi smites it away. See if the fight continues after. Look at that shockwave! It's going to get a huge amount of damage, but V5 can't follow it up here. It is the Tristana. It is Loken that's just dealing death right now. He's able to pop Langx at least for a little bit longer. The fight's going to still continue. The rocket jumps are still coming in. WeiWei's dead. We're just seeing Goomba stomps left and right. Langx does survive. He's going to get it back, but Loken, the power force here is huge.
The Penta kills 1 kill away. It was under Langx who went into the GA. Loken says
care.
Screw it.
Oh my god, he went and found him! Oh my goodness, he was able to just go that entire distance with the devastating charge. Does need to be careful. I was going to say Gnar's coming up. He does get stunned, and it's just the Tristana going down mid lane to win the game right now. Hysterics. He's waiting for it. It's over,
bro. Like, this time Loken's not going to make the same mistake. I like what Kanavi did. He stopped it.
Oh my god.
And
I can't believe it. It is Loken who takes the fight. Loken who takes the game. And JDG go up 1-0 in this best of 3.
What an explosive way to end it. Lyric was so damn right. JDG got set up on the objective first. They picked up the Baron. And then V5 ran into them. But the problem is no one could get through to Loken. He kept hitting away. And while it got close with Trigger staying alive towards the rest of the pack, Loken was always there. Loken jumps over for the cleanup kills. He flashes into Trigger. The Buster Shot used nicely. And for JDG, you just get to that point where it's a Tristana, it's a Viktor late game. You're playing towards disengage and then using some of the range there for the Tristana too. And I feel like JDG executed that last fight better. They take down V5 in 45 minutes. But man, that was so back and forth as a game.
Look at that gold grab. My goodness. We got some peaks in there, Hysterics. But oh man. And we played it off as JDG needed to be set up right for the fights. They needed to have that execution in the fights. They needed to not get caught out. It just worked out so well. And as we had said, these fights were on a knife's edge. The bases were broken. Everything was open. If a fight goes in the late game and a team gets wiped, that's the game. And Loken made sure of that. I love that confidence. I love that play calling from him. Just go straight down the middle. Kanavi obviously buying some time against Langx, but it didn't matter in the end.
And that's why I think for JDG's composition, you know, I know that a lot of people might have preferred this, not just the Lulu top lane to make it special, but when we got towards this late game, the sustain advantage was always going to be there for JDG. The longer these fights went out, JDG were always going to have that advantage. And we saw that last Baron fight. It's like a 40-second fight. Again, Loken not touched. I think Yagao absorbed most of the damage. Zoom as well didn't catch up his position, but you have a Lulu in the composition. I assume it delayed enough for Loken to do the rest of the cleaning, and it feels like a really good game to talk about. JDG, you know, letting the ball down in the mid game, but they were always farming. They were always picking up CS. They never really gave away too much V5 off the Baron pushes. Apart from the inhibitor, you don't care about that. Your 6-item Tristana is going to clear them instantly. So JDG got the clear and then moved straight to Baron after V5 reset.
And we got to see some of that late game teamfight execution that we know JDG is so good at. And I think there were some very bright moments for the side of V5. They had taken some good fights. They had some great positioning around the map. Langx, especially on the Gnar, looked so damn good. So maybe we'll see some more of that action going into game 2. But for